Hey guys, CR Classics here. Welcome to episode 1 of the hunt for my next car. So this car isn't going to be a replacement for the Lotus, it's not going to be an upgrade for the Lotus. That will be coming in the future, maybe sometime soon in the future, but this is a sort of standalone series about the hunt for my next daily car. That doesn't mean it's going to be boring by any means. It's still going to be a very exciting car, but it's not going to be a classic car. It's going to be more of a modern car. And this will be mine 100%. This isn't like the Tesla, which it's, you know, a family car. This car is going to be mine, so it's a huge commitment for me. And all the cars that are on the shortlist, which I'm going to go through in a minute, are cars that I've had in the shortlist in my head for a few years now. And they're all sort of dream cars that I'd hoped one day to be able to own and drive every day. So let's crack on with that shortlist. Before we start talking about the cars that are in that shortlist, let's talk about what I actually want this car to be and what I'm really looking for. So year-wise, to give you an idea how old or how new the car is that I'm going to be looking at, I'm looking ideally for something around the 16 plate, 17 plate, so relatively new, few years old. But still has quite new technology in it, that's done all the depreciation already from when it came out the showroom. It's been looked after very well by the previous owner, has quite low miles. I'm not really too keen. I mean, depending on which of the cars from the shortlist that I go for, I don't really want one that's done too many miles. I definitely want one that hasn't been modified. Mainly because I like cars that have come from the factory and haven't really been touched. And some of you may be laughing about my Lotus, how the roof on that car isn't how it should be, but there was obviously nothing I could do about that without spending a large sum of money fixing that, which is something I'd love to do if the opportunity arose, but at the moment it's not really an option. But back to these cars. So yeah, not modified. I want something that's got a bit of something about it, a bit of a flair. I don't want something that'll blend in. I want something that'll be fun to drive and make me smile every time I get in it. Something that's got a bit of a personality, but also something that's reliable, safe, good. Well, not bad for insurance, as I am still relatively young, and something that, you know, obviously will look good on camera and will get you guys excited when I make videos about it. Something that sounds good, and something with a bit of heritage. I like cars with heritage, like Lotus especially. That's one of the main reasons I was drawn to the Lotus brand, was the heritage, the racing heritage that they've got, the names that come with Lotus, and the people who are in that community. So I'm very much about car communities and car clubs. So I'll be definitely joining whichever car club that I decide, you know, to go for, whichever car I get. So that's what I'm really looking for out of these cars. So let's go to that shortlist. So let's start with Audi. Some of you may remember I had a 2001 Audi TT. It was a 2-litre petrol quattro. It's a brilliant car. And I bought that as a cheap run around. I mean, it was, you know, really not a lot of money and a lot of car, which is quite rare with Audis. And that was a great car, but I sold that because I didn't need an everyday car at the place we were at, and it would have just sat on the drive really. So it would have been a bit of a waste of time keeping it, but I did love it being an Audi, and everything was so simple, and everything worked how it should, and it was great. It was brilliant. I mean, a few people in my family have had Audis before, and they've always done exactly what they say on the tin. They've been nice to look at. You pay a bit more for the rings on the front of the car, but you know, where don't you do that with a lot of manufacturers nowadays? You do pay just to have that little status symbol on the front, on the nose of the car and on the rear. So I'd be looking at obviously a 2016 or 2017 Aldi A1, either a 1 litre or 1.4 TFSI, and I'd like to get it obviously from a dealer. I'm not too keen on buying it privately, just so I get some sort of warranty with it. Some of them may still be under warranty. I'm not too sure how long Audi's warranty lasts with their cars, but it all depends, you know how new the one is that I find. My only problem straight off the bat with them is the ones I've looked at. I've looked at a grey one, I think a white one, and a black one, all at Aldi around where I live, and it's really at the top end of my budget basically, and you don't get a lot extra there. I mean, they're very basic cars, the ones I'm looking at, and they are really stretching my budget to get one. You know, I mean, I'd struggle to get an S-Line or, you know, some sort of premium package interior or some, you know, different colour. I mean, I'm not too keen on just getting, you know, a very dark grey or a even white. You know, I'm not too keen on white, as I know white is a very basic colour nowadays. A lot of cars come standard with white, and those are the ones that I have seen. There was quite a nice red one at Aldi that was, I think it was red with a black roof, but that was, you know, just out of my price range, which is a big shame. But yeah, so I mean, that's definitely on the list, but like I said, it's really at the top end of my budget, and I'm just not seeing a lot for that money. And I know it is an Aldi, and I know it's, you know, quite a prestigious name, but I just don't see enough for what I'm paying, really. So that's my thoughts on Aldi, and thoughts on the A1 and what I'm looking for. So let's move on to the second car on my list. So the second car on my list, on my short list of cars that I've been looking at, is a Mini. So once again, you may think that this all sort of links in, because my first actual car that I owned was I think it was a 2008 Mini 1, which was a great little car. Once again, did exactly what it says on the tin. Didn't let me down once. It was a great car to learn in, and I've got lots of memories in that car and with Mini, and it was brilliant. It was really, really good, and I'd always envy the people who had, you know, the one up from me, which is the Cooper, and always dreamed of having a JCW, a John Cooper Works one. But they are, you know, even a few years old. The Cooper Works ones are, you know, way out of my price range, really. So I've been looking. I went over to Mini and had a look at a couple of Coopers and one Cooper S, which straight away I love the interior of them. They've done a lot of work. I think it was a 16 or I think it was a 17 plate actually, the Cooper. The middle screen, they've now put an actual screen in there, which in my old one it was just your dial, your speed dial, your speedo. But now they've got an actual screen in the middle, which looks really good, and they've really modernised the inside of the car, and it's a bit more stylish now, which I really, really like. And I've always loved the look of the Minis. A lot of people say that they all just look the same, but I do think the Coopers definitely have something about them. They've even got a little bit of a growl, a little bit of a nice sound coming out of those exhausts. And I know they're not the sportiest model that they do, but they are nice, quite practical as well. They'd be very good on insurance. They're, once again, up to the top end of my budget, but I really, really like the ones I looked at, and yeah, they're definitely a contender, purely because of the history I have with them, and it seems that they've done exactly what I wanted them to do. They've changed all the things that I thought were wrong with my old one that I had, such as the screen in the middle and the styling and things like that, and just brought it, you know, right up to date, which I love. So that's definitely a contender, the Mini Cooper. So the third car on the list is the Abarth. So that's the sort of racing version or the sporty version of the Fiat 500. I'd be looking at, as I said earlier, the late 2016-2017 model, which would be the Mark IV, which is the one with the upgraded sort of front bumpers, rear splitter, things like that, upgraded interior, upgraded sort of infotainment system. And it's the one that's had the most changes really, and all the changes for the good, because the old one was a little bit, it just had the radio in the middle, it was a bit basic, and the styling was just a bit round. This one's a bit more aggressive. So it'd be the 595 that I'd be looking at, which is the standard one. It's not the Turismo or the competition or anything like that. I'd be looking at it. They do a very nice variety of colours, because obviously it's more of a sporty car, so the colours are a bit brighter, a bit bolder, a bit more different. So I'd have quite a good selection of colours. The only problem I might face is the fact that a lot of these cars have been modified. A lot of the Abarths have been modified, purely because they're so easy to modify, and Abarth almost encourage you to do that. And a lot of the owners do. They upgrade the exhaust, the suspension, the brakes, obviously the turbos, things like that, the air intakes, all things like that. So my problem might be to find one that's been untouched since the factory, and I want one that's done, you know, as little miles as possible, purely because that's a major factor in an Abarth, because you know the miles aren't going to be soft miles, they're not going to be leisurely miles that they've been driven. And one that's preferably under the factory warranty, as I know it's quite a long factory warranty. I think if I got a 2017 one, it may still be under the warranty, which could be, you know, a big bonus for me, rather, as far as my shortlist goes. So yeah, let's see what we can find, and I guess you'll see in the next episode. But so this has just been a run through of the shortlist of cars that I'm looking at and thinking about. The next episode will be hopefully a car that I've found, or I've decided on what car I want, and we'll maybe go and see it. And then the next episode, I don't know, who knows, there may be a car on the drive, and there may be a delivery video, things like that. So please be sure to drop a like on the video, comment, let me know your thoughts, guys, what you think I should get, what you think about what I think I should get, things like that. Make sure you subscribe, as the subscription, you know, every one of you subscribes means a hell of a lot to me, and I do try to get in contact with you if you do subscribe, just to say thank you, because it really does mean a hell of a lot to me. Follow me on YouTube, things like that. Follow me on Instagram, sorry, not YouTube. And yeah, I'll see you guys back for the next video. This has been CR Classics, out.